Cute as a cupcake, where the cupcakes are more than just cute, they're delicious. Get by Cute as a Cupcake at 2008 West 81st in Maryville, Indiana, and get you one of these cupcakes. If you're anywhere else, coast to coast, you can contact them at www.cuteasacupcake3.com so you can have cupcakes delivered directly to your door. That's Cute as a Cupcake, www.cuteasacupcake3.com. Good afternoon, and welcome to the 800 Credit Score Man Show. I am your host, Kevin King. He is I, and I am him, the 800 Credit Score Man himself. And once again, thank each and every one of you for coming in and listening to the 800 Credit Score Man Show. I truly, truly appreciate it. Look, we're a little bit late today getting on the air. So I had some issues like at the very last minute. Like I'm at the studio early today. Like I came in earlier than I normally do. I'm usually here about an hour beforehand. But today it was more like an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes. I'm just sitting here getting prepared for the show and look up and I take my notes on my phone. Look up and I got 2% battery. Now I already know my phone. It's not going to last that long. Definitely not enough for a half an hour show. So it's like, man, we in trouble. So I'm scrambling to get a cord and everything. And then what did it do? It died on me right before the show was about to start. So we got it all hooked up. We should be good. We should be good for the rest of the show. So again, thank you guys for coming in and listening to the show. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. Share the show. Share the show with your friends. So I don't care how you get it. If you look at it on Spreaker.com, if you're on YouTube, if you're on iTunes, if you're on pick a platform, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you can share the show. So I'm asking you to share the show with your friends and your family because it doesn't do any good for you to come up on your credit score and then your friends and your partners, they can't do the stuff that you do. They can't go get them a new couch and then you got to go over their house and you got to sit on milk crates and whatnot. So look, share the show with your friends and family, everybody. All right, so what are we going to get in today? I'm gonna tell you what the topic for today is going to be. So if you are listening, it's absolutely a live show. You can see what the headline is. So it's bASS Ackwards. So I say it all the time because some of these things are not doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to us anyway. It doesn't make sense to us, the consumers. So we're going to talk about some things that just don't seem to make sense that you would think would be positive for you and for your credit score, but they may not be. So those are the things we're going to discuss today on the 800 Credit Score Man Show. And I got a few shout outs. First of all, I got to apologize to my little cousins. So last week, I said happy birthday to Lauren and London. So Lauren London, if you don't know, is an actress. I even wrote it down. So it wasn't even that I just said it wrong. I actually wrote down Lauren London in my notes. So it's actually London and Landon. So happy birthday to the twins. Blame it on my heart. Blame it on my head, not my heart. Blame it on my head, not my heart. So I apologize. So, as soon as I got off the show, my phone was lighting up from all my relatives. You messed up their name, right? So I got it right this week. So London and Landon, happy belated birthday to you guys. I got to give this big shout out. Big shout out for a second wedding anniversary, Tanner and Margot Cooper. Happy anniversary to you. May you have many, many more. Happy anniversary, Tanner and Margot Cooper. I got to give a shout out for her birthday, Kim Verner. She celebrates her birthday. My man, Mervyn Spencer Moss. Yes, I gave you a whole government name. He celebrated his birthday on the 6th. That's my Sands, member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated from the Alpha Chapter, one of the 14 Knights. I'm so proud of you, man. You are inspiration to me. Keep doing the great things that you've been doing and stay consistent for us. I need that from you in my life, so I appreciate it. And then on the 10th, one of my day ones, Shakina Bullock, she is celebrating her birthday. So happy birthday to you. I got to call you after the show, see what you're going to be doing this weekend, if anything, for your birthday because of Corona. All right, that's too much stuff. So let's jump into what's going on with the show. So it's really about, they can be considered common credit mistakes. They could be considered credit mistakes, if you will, with these things that are just not exactly right. Like we would think that they would be. So when I always say bASS Ackwards, that's what I mean. It is really backwards. So why are they? So because often, we the consumers, the common folk, we see things a little bit differently than lending institutions, FICO, and even the credit bureaus. So things that seem to make sense for your personal finances don't always translate to positives for your credit score. So let's explore this today on the 800 Credit Score Man Show. So here's one thing: not having credit at all. Now, you would think this translates to not owing anybody a dime. That would be a good thing. You don't owe anybody. That means you're probably keeping your finances in check. You have a great budget. You live within your means. However, FICO and the credit bureaus view this as a huge negative. Frankly, if you don't have a track record and therefore, nothing for them to judge your credit worthiness, this makes for a bad credit score or no score at all. And having no credit is just as bad, if not worse, than having bad credit. So it doesn't help you at all if you just don't have any credit. You've got to have some credit. You've got to have something for them to hold on to, something for them to judge from you to see if you're worthy, if you're willing to pay money back if you ever do seek to get a loan or buy a car or whatever it is. If you seek to do that, they need something to judge you off of so they can decide if they're going to approve you or not. And if you don't have any credit at all, then you're not going to get approved. It's just not happening. And in these days, if you don't have any credit at all, and I don't care where you are, you at a furniture store, jewelry store, and they don't pull up anything from you, they're going to think it's fraud. They're going to absolutely think that this is a person trying to defraud us. This person doesn't exist. This social security number is wrong. This ID is fake. All these kinds of things. So you need to have credit. It's not a good thing not to have any credit at all. Now, let's go on to something else. Not having a credit card. Not having a credit card. Now, this doesn't mean you don't have other accounts. You can have any other kind of accounts. You can have student loan, you can have personal loan, a car, things of that nature, but not having a credit card. This should be, or it could be, a positive, right? You haven't fallen into that credit card trap of high interest and buying things that you don't have the money for, right then and right there. But no, that's not how FICO and the credit bureaus look at it. FICO and the credit bureaus basically punish you for your lack of credit cards. So again, bASS Ackwards, like I say. So credit as a whole is a tool, and it's good to have this tool in your financial toolbox. Credit cards are yet another tool in this particular financial toolbox, and it's essential. It's absolutely essential for your credit health. So having them demonstrates how responsible you are with your with your credit, and it can lead to higher credit scores by having a credit card. So you have more for the powers that be to judge you off of when you have a credit card. So credit usage in itself is 30% of what makes up your credit score. So they help you also. Having a credit card helps you with your payment history. So that's 35% of your credit score, because you're going to have the card, right? You're going to have some kind of utilization. That's that 30% we just talked about. And then you're going to pay it on time every month, and that's 35% of your credit score. So it helps in that manner. It helps in your length of history. So if you've had this credit card since college, you got this credit card 5 years ago, you got this credit card 3 years ago, whatever it is, it helps with your length of history as well. And then it's going to help you with your mix. So the mix are the types of credit that you have. That's an additional 10% of what makes up your credit score. So basically, having a card and using your card responsibly impacts 90% of your credit score, and in a positive way. So when I said not having a credit card at all is maybe bASS Ackwards, it's actually very, very helpful for you. Even though you're like, hey, I hate credit cards. Maybe you got in trouble in the past and it's been years and now they're no longer on your credit report, the ones you messed up before or whatever it is. it is very good thing to have a credit card. You just got to know thyself. Like I always say, you got to know thyself. You got to know if you're going to abuse it, if you're not going to be able to keep up with it, if you can't handle the credit card. You've got to weigh these things out when it comes to getting your credit card. But I highly, highly recommend having a credit card, at least one. You need more than one, but at least one. You need a credit card to help you increase your credit scores. So imagine that you don't have any credit cards at all. Off the top, you're missing out on one of the 5 pillars: credit utilization, and you're losing out an additional 60%. So we just calculated it up, right? You're losing out on an additional 60% of what could be helping you with your credit score. Now, I don't know what that means in terms of points, how that translates for everybody, because there's so many factors involved. When did you get a credit card? How long you've had credit? All of those kinds of things. But it has to be significant because it's 30% of what your credit score is. At least, at bare minimum, is that 30%. So it has to be very significant to your credit score because it's right behind the number one thing, which is paying on time at 35%. So you've got to get yourself a credit card. So you may be thinking that, hey, this is good. I don't owe anybody. I don't have to pay that high interest, all those kinds of things. But it's not as helpful as you think it is. It's actually hurting you if you don't have one. Let's go to another thing. So let's stick with credit cards for a moment. Having them. So now we're talking about people that actually have credit cards like myself. I've had them ever since I turned 18, I think. Yeah, about 18. So having a credit card and not using them at all. You would think, again, this is helpful. Like, I got credit cards. I don't use them. I got a zero balance or very low balance. So I have a great credit utilization. So it's not hurting my 30%. It's actually helping my 30% of my credit score because my utilization is great. It's well under 30%. It might be under 10%, and it might be even at zero. So it's helping me. It's helping me tremendously. But every once in a while, you've got to use that credit card. Again, they're just looking at a way to judge you and see how you're using credit and what's going on with it, right? So if you have them and you're not using them at all, you would think that that would be a good thing. bASS, Ackwards, because the credit bureaus and FICO are not looking at it that way. So myself personally, I've been off and on this debt reduction of credit cards many, many times in my life. So getting out of debt is absolutely a good thing. But the bureaus and FICO, they seem to be like a jealous friend or something. Somebody that you no longer talk to as often as you used to. That's how they seem when it comes to that. So you've got cards, and you might use them periodically, but if you don't at all, then they'll close your card. That's the last thing you want to do. You don't want them to close your card. It hurts your utilization. It hurts all the things we just talked about. Your utilization, your payment history, your length of history. It hurts your mix. You don't want them paying. You don't want them to get rid of your credit card. So you've got to use them every once in a while. Personally, I may go a year or more without using that particular card, but it's good to do so every now and then. How often, you ask? At least a couple of times a year. Now listen to me. Listen. So I'm not encouraging anybody to go out there and get into debt. I don't consider 30, 50, 60, $100 debt. It's not debt. $4,000, $5,000, $2,000, depending on how much money you make. That's some debt. $100 is not debt. All right. So listen to me. If you charge a lot on these cards sometimes, it's going to affect your score. It is absolutely going to impact your score negatively if you charge a lot on it. So I'm not saying you got a $5,000 credit card and every 6 months you go out and charge it up to $4,000. That's not what I'm saying. Use it periodically, and use it just a little bit. And then what you want to do is you want to come back and you want to make one payment, and then the next month, if you can, pay that bad boy off. That's what you want to do with that credit card. You want to keep it active because they will close it because of non-activity. So, and you absolutely don't want that. So make sure you, since you've got your credit card, you've got to use it every once in a while. Now, if it's a place that, it's a jewelry store, you don't have any plan on buying any jewelry, you're not going to go in there and buy a pair of earrings every 6 months or whatever it is to keep it open. that's something that you kind of have to weigh. You're going to have to weigh. Do I use it? Do I don't? Maybe they'll close it. Maybe they won't, whatever it is. But if it's a